Our next speaker is Amy Klous. She is working on Pathways, the Presentation Mastery, and the elective Building a Social Media Presence, which would be 5 to 7 minutes. And this is going to be her project from the list of the Toastmasters Pathways. And the project description, the title is I Hired a Content Writer. Do I read this speech introduction? Amy is a developmental leadership coach, working with individuals and teams to cultivate their own self-leadership to become even better leaders for others. In January, she hired a communications consultant to write and manage her social media to build her presence. Today, she'll share about building her social media presence over the last 6 months. All right, Amy.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster and members. As a business owner, utilizing social media as a way to spread awareness, build credibility, and educate our audience is necessary. I knew this, but just could not be consistent in my posting and engagement. I've purchased courses, I've met with other business owners to talk about social media strategy, had accountability partners, and I could not stick with it. I've had so many excuses and overthinking it, and I couldn't make it a priority. But it was insecurities that were holding me back. For well over a year, I had been exploring hiring a content writer, and I finally took action this past January and hired Brianna. She's been doing the busy work and holding me accountable for my deliverables and pushing me way outside of my comfort zone, which is just what I needed. Today, I'm going to be sharing how I'm using social media to build my presence and my personal brand, how I use social media to promote my business, which I call it my pillars, engaging on social media, and we'll also look at my promotional goals. So in building my social media presence or my personal brand or image or whatever you want to call it, you've probably heard before that it's really important to have a target market or a niche or even a customer avatar that you create your content for. And it really does help. The hard part is, even though we know this to be true, it feels so exclusive, like we'll be missing out on other opportunities. I target leaders and executives in the construction and manufacturing industries. Of course, I work with other individuals outside of this audience, but it really helps me create my content and connections to focus on that audience. In building your brand on social media, it's been proven, and I've seen it in my own analytics, is that showing your personal side and authenticity is what resonates with people. That's the part that's so hard for me, especially on showing my personal side on LinkedIn, which is a professional network. That's where Brianna comes in to really help me put me out there, and people seem to like it. So once you start to get clear on how you want to build your brand and your presence on social media, you can use it to help you strategize how you'll promote yourself. So in how I promote my business, I mentioned that I call it my pillars. You can also look at it as kind of like your legs of the stool, if you will. My pillars help me focus my posts on specific areas of my business, which helps with overall marketing strategy and planning out my posts for the whole month. It helps my audience better understand what I'm up to as well. So when I'm planning out my posts for the month, I touch on each pillar every week. So one of those pillars is self-development. So I'll talk about things like self-leadership, building self-awareness, inner critic, practices around those types of things. The second pillar is team development. So it's more about like team transformation using the Enneagram, my Lego series play, workshops, improving communication, building trust and collaboration within teams, and that kind of stuff. And then the third pillar is Authentically Amy, where I talk about my coaching style, my background in education, what developmental coaching is, and how it's different from other types of coaching. I'll also share things like inspirational quotes and testimonials. I might ask questions, and then the uncomfortable. personal things about me. Then throughout all these 3 pillars, I'll sprinkle in blog posts, maybe some videos, offers or promotions, and calls to action. In addition to my pillars, I also have themes every month, much like we have here in our Toastmasters meetings. But they're relevant to the work that I do. So like Mental Health Awareness Month or International Coaching Week, for example. And then I've also created my own themes depending upon the time of year and tie it to coaching. For example, endings and beginnings in December. The goal is to build credibility, likability, and trust with my followers by educating and informing them and sharing a bit about me. And it's done with posts. So it's not done with the posting. I also have to be engaging with other people's posts. So engaging on social media, I'm sure you've heard that each social media platform has a completely different style of interacting, usage, and audience. And there is some crossover. And because there's some crossover, Brianna advised me to also create an Instagram page. So I have an Instagram page. I also have had a Facebook page that I've had for several years. And I also have had a LinkedIn account that I've had forever. So I use the same content across all of these platforms. And what's simple about Instagram is she can post on Instagram and then it auto posts right into my Facebook page. And then sometimes I'll occasionally share some really good juicy posts within my personal account. So I look at Facebook and Instagram as more fun and personal, and LinkedIn is more professional, where the decision makers are as it relates to the brand that I've created. Taking the time to interact by commenting, sharing, and liking on other posts is really important. It helps get visibility to the individual that I'm commenting on, but also their audience in order to gain new connections and followers to build my audience. So now I'll share with you my social media goals, and I'm specifically going to look at LinkedIn. In hiring Brianna to help me with my social media, I was really looking for somebody to push me outside of my comfort zone and could craft the message that I wanted to share from an outside perspective. I feel I've achieved this, and we continue to hone it. I didn't have any initial stats to track against on LinkedIn because they don't have the nice dashboard and analytics like Facebook Meta has. But overall, I went from posting very intermittently, like maybe once a month. Now I'm posting 3 to 4 times per week. I'm getting much more interactions and comments on my posts. And I'm posting all organic content, meaning no paid ads and I'm also increasing my engagement and interaction. And my goal for the second half of the year is to increase my shareable content and start having virtual coffee conversations with people. So I shared a bit about how I'm building my social media presence over the last 6 months, especially since I hired Brianna to help me. And having a social media strategy is really important rather than inconsistently throwing things out into the ether to see what sticks. For me, it's a counterpart to help me in building my social media presence and continuing to push me way outside of my comfort zone. And I don't know if it's ever something I'll get comfortable with, but knowing I have my pillars and somebody to manage it for me helps me focus on the work that I love to do in coaching others to find what they need to step outside of their comfort zones too. Thank you. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you.